There you go. It's recording.
Yep, record. Yep.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So video records. And I will disagree a little bit with Carol, I know. Because when she said that essentially that you know, everything that shows explicit stuff is porn, I don't agree with that, because I run these two websites, kinkacademy.com and passionateyou.com, that were built explicitly for that reason, to show things explicitly without it being pornography. And the way that I define pornography is purposefully wank material. Because Victoria's Secret's hot, right? Who didn't jerk off to Victoria's Secret at some point in their lives, right? But that's not porn. You know, granted, they don't have their legs wide and all their hoo-ha showing, sadly. Hopefully they'll get to that secret someday soon. But it's not intended to be pornography. Now, I ran a femdom site, my own femdom site, for 8 years, still up and running, princesscallie.com, that was specifically a jerk-off site. I made femdom porn for people to jerk off to. That's what it was. And it was awesome. And some of the best, and I got emails from guys that were like, you know, I love jerking off to your films, and it's like awesome, because I make them free to jerk off to, so yay. You know, and, but my favorite, I will fully admit, my favorite letters were from women of boyfriends who became members of my site so that they could show their girlfriend a different form of domination. Because I focus really entirely on BDSM. And people have this idea of domination as angry. I've actually been told that I can't be a dominatrix because I'm blonde. By multiple people I've been told that. And I say, really? Here's a password, check it out. I'm a mean son of a bitch. With a smile. And so these women would write me and say, you've shown me this whole new way of being dominant that's not angry, that's really playful, you look like you're having fun, because I am. And those were my favorite moments. And that's what then led me to becoming a kink educator. I come from a family of teachers, and so I realized that through my domination sessions, through my femdom site, really, I was trying to teach people through all of these things. It was just different forms of teaching. But sadly, people get caught up on the word porn. So I decided to drop that word, because I want people to get the information. And there are people that will get caught up in that term porn, and in that concept of porn. And so for me, the idea that kinkacademy.com and passionateyou.com are not porn is very important to me. It's very important. Not because it's better than porn, because it's not. It's not better than porn in terms of, you know, showing your fantasies and exploring those fantasies visually. But what I'm trying to do is actually not go quite clinical per se, because people do have pleasure, you can tell, but really to just show what's happening so that you can then go home and have your own pornographic type experience. And so yes, we have open legs, yes, we have insertion, yes, we have motions. That's my come, fuck, get, whatever. I'll have to memorize that because that's really good. That if that's not the point, if that is the point, you have to learn how to get there. And then when you get actually more creative or out of the box, it's even more important. As you know, a BDSMer, I just presented at South by Southwest about 50 Shades. Please don't throw rocks at me. But the reason that I presented about that was because it's like, this is great. It's like porn, but now it's being sold with toys as if it's a how-to book, and that offends me deeply as an educator. Because to me, education is specifically intended to teach you something. And jerking off is awesome, but it's not necessarily, in my opinion, an educational act. I might be wrong. Many of you might disagree with me. I would love to ask Carol after this, which I will be, or in the Q&A section. But the idea that things could be shown explicitly and not have it be called porn, so that the people who couldn't mentally access the idea of porn could still get information, was really important to me and continues to be really important to me. Because Kink Academy particularly, I come from a BDSM background, domination as I mentioned, there's a lot of, one twoo way. Is this the twoo way, right? And you can't tell me the twoo way. Well, kinda we can. At least in terms of safety and in terms of emotional safety and physical safety, there is a one true way. If you kick someone in the nuts, you need to know what you're doing because there is major damage to be done there. I saw a girl at a party once doing a face slapping scene. And I teach an hour-long face slapping class. And she was just going to town. She was just flailing and knuckle smacking. And I went up to her, because I'm kind of pushy like that. And I said, oh, I love that you're doing face slapping. Isn't that so sexy and powerful? But do you know, if you just do it this way, and I kind of gave her the 5-minute, actually educational piece. And the guy was like, because the action was sexy. They both wanted to be engaging in this face slapping scene, but she didn't know what she was doing. Now, she could have watched a face slapping scene, right? But then I look back at my own femdom porn, right? They don't see the negotiation. They see the heavy duty stuff that I do, right? And I do domination sessions as well. And I would have emails from men going, I'd really love to see you, but I'm just terrified because of what I've seen in your porn. You whip people till they're bleeding. You kick them in the nuts. You spit on them. Sorry, I'm... right? And I'd say, well, would you be jerking off if it was me sitting there saying, so, how do your nuts feel after that first kick? A little iffy? Okay, well, I'm going to try a little softer, right? That would be boring as fuck and you wouldn't jerk off to it. Or at least not as quickly, which is what usually the goal is, right? And so that's where I really thought to myself, porn is fantastic in demonstrating the visual, but it's not helpful in demonstrating the behind the theater, is what I call it. The stage whispers, right? You don't show stage whispers in porn, right? Are your nuts like, are you going to puke? No? Okay. Whoosh, right? You don't show that because that would diminish my dominance. Except it doesn't in reality, right? And that's where porn is great, is as a fantasy. You don't have to think about somebody's nuts getting crushed and them not being able to procreate for the rest of their lives. You don't have to think about that. You just watch them. You just watch my foot go. Right? And I'm usually making some kind of sound like that. Giggling and like, yay, your nuts are crushed. I'm on a nut crushing day, apparently. Like, I do lots of other things, but that's where I'm at today. And so the idea that pornography is used to jerk off to and is a simulation of fantasy, but that if you don't know the behind-the-scenes stuff, you're going to end up hurting yourselves. And that's not sexy to me. And that's where it's really... And I like to hurt people. I mean, have we picked up on that? Right? Except I only like to hurt people in the right way, consensually, without damaging them long term. You don't break your toys, period. That's like the #1 rule of BDSM. You just don't break your toys. And so it's interesting to sit up here, quite frankly, and be talking about pornography when I at least with Kink Academy and Passionate You, which is why I was invited here, don't identify as pornography. Because to me there is that really important separation of watching a fantasy and then learning how to make that fantasy work. The example I used at South by Southwest was, Harlequin novels, right? Harlequin novels, so hot, right? They're the like long-term female jerk-off material. And let's say you watch or you read a Harlequin novel about a pirate, right? and you read this book and you think, oh my God, it's so sexy, I'm going to be a pirate, I'm going to fuck the first mate as we sail out into the horizon, and it's going to be so hot because I just read this book and it was so hot. So you go out and you buy a boat, and you buy a big hat, and you buy a sword, and you sail out into the horizon, except then you realize the Harlequin novel didn't tell you how to raise the sails, drop the anchor, or tie the ropes so that you could actually get back home. And that's where then you're stuck at sea, not getting fucked. Which is a bummer, man. And so that definition for me is really important. And allowing porn to be porn. And yes, you can learn from porn, as Carol completely said, you know, the way that you watch and all those great things that I can't remember all the lists, I need your little thing, that you can get out of porn. But in terms of actual education, there needs to be, in my opinion, a bit more of a separation. And that's why I created these sites, so there was at least another option. So if people wanted an option that didn't, that wasn't even edgy porn, really. Because it's like, I have a bunch of fisting stuff on my site, right? Like say, so the person is getting fisted, and I'm fisting, right? And I'm going, okay, so if you'll notice, right? And she's back there going, right? But the educator is going, okay, so if you'll notice, I'm keeping my thumb down. And how are you feeling back there? Is that good? Would it be better if I'm faster? Right? Okay, so then she starts to go a little faster. And then she says, okay, so you want to make sure, right? So it's very interactive. But it's like, this is how this works. This is it. Not just plunger, because porn doesn't show all of that. Porn shows a hand sliding in, although not with fisting, because we're not supposed to show that, which we talked about earlier. And so having those options and allowing porn to be a visual stimulator while still making room for education, which doesn't have to be boring, right? The word education kind of screws. I know it kind of screws me, and not in that way that makes me grip this table like ball crushing does. You know, because people go, oh, you know, well, you should call it something else. And it's like, but it's education. That's what it is. It's sex education. And so, and I refuse to give up that title. I refuse to. Because I think that once people understand that, and adults only, I only deal with adults because listen to me. Do I belong in high schools? No. Once you give adults the opportunity to learn more logistically about sexual acts, then they have the opportunity to watch porn actually with a more educated eye. And to say, wow, I bet they had, like, it took them an hour to get her to suspend like that, you know. I'm going to go watch the video and learn how to do that. And so for me, that's where Kink Academy and Passionate You came into play. And it's really hard work because it's not porn in some ways. Like, I was at the Porn Awards thinking, you know, I have such a mixed feeling, right? Because on the one hand, I'm like, well, I want to win an award. I do neat things. And then I think, but I don't want to win a porn award, not because it's not awesome, because it is, but because then it puts me, it's so murky that it's this completely new redefining of what sex education and what porn and where those things overlap and why we should care really comes into play. So, so I think I'll stop there. But for me, that's that important key, is that porn is awesome for a lot of things, and you can learn things from watching it. But if you don't get the logistics, raising the sails, dropping the anchor information, you may end up with negative sex experiences that then lead you to not explore. And if there's anything that I want in this world, it's for people to explore their sexuality. It's my mission on earth. So please check out Kink Academy and Passionate You. And there's some fun swag here on your way out. So please feel free to pick that up, because I am a brand whore. Hello. Thank you.